doubling down on his comments, blaming the deaths of Hollywood director Rob Reiner and his wife Michelle on, quote, Trump derangement syndrome.
I think he hurt himself in career-wise. So I was not a fan of Rob Reiner at all in any way, shape, or form. I thought he was very bad for our country.
Trump said Reiner was, quote, known to have driven people crazy by his raging obsession of President Donald J. Trump. Police in Miami are investigating after a woman was found dead inside of a freezer at a Dollar Tree store. An employee made the discovery Sunday. The victim is a 32-year-old physician and mother of two. It's believed she walked into the freezer Saturday before the store closed. And Merriam-Webster is selecting slop as its 2025 Word of the Year. Get BIN News now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Let's take a moment to celebrate great things happening inside our schools. NOLA Public Schools achieved a B District Performance Letter Grade. Orleans now exceeds its pre-COVID district performance for all students by more than 8 points. For the second year in a row, Black students from New Orleans outperformed the state average in all peer districts. For all other subgroups, economic disadvantaged students, multilingual learners, and students with disabilities, we also saw growth. Let's keep up the amazing work.
Good morning, wake up.
The Good Morning Show.
Good morning.
On WBOK.
Wake up, New Orleans. 4 minutes after the top of the hour. Yay, Will Sutton, enjoy your holiday break, but it's just a break, and don't break anything on your break. But hey, man, I'm happy to be in the driver's seat, man. I'm kind of, you know what, Doc, I'm kind of enjoying myself, this little guest host stuff I've been doing the last couple of weeks, every now and then, popping in. And I can say it, I miss y'all. But look, Will, I kind of miss you too, but let me say, man, we got one of the most dynamic social justice fighters, professors, soul sister #1, and she cute.
Oh, thank you.
Dr.
Good morning.
Andrea Broyles, right?
Boyles.
Boyles.
Yes.
I always put the oil in there because you be broiling hot every time.
Oh,
you in the
come
room.
on. See
I be putting up broil because that's like hot. You be on that in subject. What's up, Doc?
Good morning. Good morning. And good morning, New Orleans. It's so wonderful to be here, as always.
Man, it really, and it's so good to see you. When I say soul sister #1, I actually mean that. Thank you so much for all of the encouragement, the inspiration, the help, and the brain, you know, with the issues that you and I have discussed over the years, or the things you always encouraged me to take a look at. But you know what I've been doing, because I was in the public every day, still every day.
Sure.
What you been doing?
Well, it's sort of the same, you know, not in the same role, you know, as a candidate or in that sense, but certainly
But you've been running.
running, excuse me. Yes, absolutely running. From one extreme to the other, and the political climate calls for it, even well beyond the local, right?
Yeah. I actually want to jump right into that. We see what's happening with Border Patrol and ICE and dropping bombs on boats off the coast of Venezuela. What's happening with Ukraine and Russia, the Middle East? Is there peace in the Middle East? Is there not? What's happening with Congress? They don't break when they should be working. They should never break because they're breaking us.
Yes.
Cost of living, gas going down, but everything else seems to be going up. Which on that meter, that list of things, which one really bothers you?
Honestly, you know, and that's a wide range of things. Some you mentioned, and quite many, you know, you did not.
Yeah.
But I think just in general, I'm always concerned about those who are most disadvantaged on a good day. On a good day. And when I say a good day, I mean when that list of 1 million may be a list of 1,000, right? There's always something. But I'm always very, very concerned about quote unquote the least of us.
I want to wrap it up in there because especially one of our leading social sciences. When I say soul sister number one, justice fighter number one, I mean that. And you said something 504-582-9422. What really kind of gets you today, especially if you sit and reflect this holiday season, whether it's happening around the world, whether it's happening in your family or in your house, in your community. But you said on a good day, and that made me think about something, right? There are people that on a good day have a job, they have their family, they may have an education, they may have a home or apartment and place to go to, and still having trouble making it.
Yes, very true. Very true. And I don't like to see people suffering in general. I'm a people person. I want to see the best of people, and meaning that by character, but also meaning that in quality of life, right? And the fact, and so we can go on and on forever, right? Because this is a constant to see people go without generally. And that's not okay. But I am especially, and I say this also in my personal capacity, I state this, that I am especially concerned about our people who have historically been disproportionately on the back end of a whole lot of issues. And so we can run the gamut on that. And what especially rubs me is the fact that despite the fact that we have consistently faced hardship in different ways, I'm always concerned about the education or the lack thereof in strategizing out of it.
Now, I wanna go there. Yeah, I really do. But you're one of the great thought provokers of all time, and got the resume and the brain to back it up. And I've had some interesting conversations. We hear about black and brown, immigrants and foreigners and illegal aliens. And we're having these conversations about injustice with those groups. And the data on black folk keeps getting worse, whether it's access to housing. Other immigrant groups have surpassed us now.
Sure.
Access to education, access families, access to opportunity. So how is it that, and you specifically said, but weren't about us, how is it that we always get lumped into everybody else's stuff? And then you look up and they're ahead of you on the totem pole, but nobody's quite fixed our stuff. And I remember the conversation you and I had some time ago when we were talking about the black woman. Everybody's celebrating the black woman, forgetting that in Louisiana, she still just makes 49 cents on the dollar.
Sure.
And the per capita wealth of single black women is still the worst in the nation. So everybody's acting like just because a few folk arrived. We're missing the real fact. How is it that we keep, and our own community will attach itself to other movements when our stuff haven't been dealt with?
So there's a lot there to unpack. And I'll start with your first concern with the dynamics between black folks here and immigration, right? And so I think, and so there's a bit of politics that vary in the sense that when we're talking about black folks, or let's think about minoritizing, period, how people come to be minoritized in the U.S. and treated as such in the U.S., right? And so there's two things happening. One, black folks, or more specifically African Americans, are what we consider as colonized minorities. Black and brown folks that migrate here are considered as immigrant minorities. So you come into minoritization status two ways: through colonialism or immigration.
Ooh, God, this a whole heavy conversation here.
It makes for some very different politics, because it's one thing to be colonized into a minority status. That means that's us, that African American folk. That means that we had no decision making. We had no agency in how we arrived here. We were trafficked.
But with your group, you got up one day and say, I'm going to America.
Even if it was by default, even if one came here as a refugee, there was still some agency, some power in the fact that there was decision-making ability that played a part in the migration, right? And so that in and of itself, to be here with no decision but by force versus to be here and having to be and have the wherewithal to make a decision makes for different politics. It positions us as colonized, minoritized people to therefore always find ourselves fighting from the bottom up. Minoritized people that migrate here tends to have some political benefit of the doubt. They tend to be perceived and viewed differently, at least to the degree that they have a little more power to work with. They're positioned, in some ways to be able to better establish themselves, or at least to be identified not as trafficked people. And so it is in that space that, and this makes, again, for a whole other 100 different conversations, but I do want to be clear that out of that, how we arrive plays a significant factor in how the politics have emerged, not just this year, but how politics have emerged between groups for centuries.
What I'm interested in is that now you got me fighting for your stuff now, and my economic status still haven't changed. You got me fighting for your, I'm joining, I'm on the front line with you now, and you done moved past me in access to housing and home ownership.
Sure.
I'm fighting for you so they can let you in and let you stay, and I'm still I'm 6% of the population, and in 47% of the incarcerated population. Sure. So when you made that comment, black folk, I know the data on black folk.
Sure.
Right? You've just been here a couple of generations, but your minority group has moved ahead of me by 10% in home ownership.
Yes.
So what I'm saying is, at what point, while we're attaching ourselves to everybody else's injustice, which doesn't mean it's wrong, at what point is there a focus on the continual injustice of the folk who were colonized into this?
So let's also think about,
and how do we do both when we ain't fixed our stuff?
So one, this climate is anti-black. It has always been that. Mm-hmm. And we can track that, right, all the way back to the transatlantic slave trade. Mm-hmm. And so that has not changed over the centuries. While some things may have improved, give or take, over time for the state of black folks, meaning we don't actually have a Jim Crow society, but we still live in a Jim Crowish society. So and there's a distinction there that I'm trying to make. Mm-hmm. While we still have so much that needs to be overcome and that we're fighting, the truth of the matter is that at the root of it, there are still characteristics very reminiscent to the antebellum period. Having said that, we have to fight or push back in every way. That has not changed because anti-blackness in and of itself has not changed.
So if there's a
a
fight, we just attach ourselves to everybody.
Well, the truth of the matter is that there's never a season where we're not the target. There's never a time. The U.S. economy in and of itself emerges out of our labor and the exploitedness of our people.
Then why in 2024, the CNBC report on the nation's wealth said black men are missing from the nation's economy increasingly, right?
Yeah.
The Brookings Institute report in 2022, Dr. Professor Dussett, says that black men and boys face obstacles and discrimination in every, they didn't say some, said every social institution.
Sure.
But now our focus is on other groups. And we ain't fixed the data that gave us those two reports. How do we, and this is OT the talk show host, guys. So, and how do we do both, right?
Sure.
How do you multitask as being one of the great fighters of justice for your community, but I've seen you attach yourself to what's happening with our immigrant brothers and sisters too. and women who are not from this. How do we do both? Look, we got to take a break, right?
Okay.
But I want you to hold that thought.
Sure.
Because we're talking about the issues, but then do we have time for both? And how do we fix somebody else's stuff when I was still broke? The Good Morning Show, Dr. Andrea Boyles. And when I say broils, that's just because she broiling, guys. Happy Friday, everybody. We'll be back 504-582-9422. We got a great lineup today. We're going to talk to New Orleans Women's and Children's Shelter, Dawn Bradley, New Orleans and Company, and then Liberty Bank. We'll be back after the break. WBOK 1230 a.m. But New Orleans is listening to all day long, baby.
All right.
This is your news update for WBOK from WDSU. For all your news and weather, watch WDSU News, New Orleans' leader in live, local, late-breaking news. Today at noon and 4 p.m.
Good morning and happy Friday. I'm Morgan Lentis with WDSU News, and here's a look at today's headlines. New Orleans police are investigating a deadly shooting in Algiers. We're told it happened on South Lawn Boulevard around 3:15 a.m. Police say a man was shot and died at the scene. There is no word right now on a suspect or a possible motive. Then the Department of Homeland Security is providing an update on the number of illegal immigrants arrested by Border Patrol agents during Operation Catahoula Crunch. As of this morning, they say that number is approximately 370. DHS officials continue to say they are arresting the worst of the worst, but little information is being released about the people taken into custody. And the future of the Leah Chase School is still uncertain this morning. The school board chose not to vote last night on possibly closing the school. During a packed meeting, one community member even offered $1.5 million to help the school's financial issues. No word on when board members could make a decision. And finally, Tulane is heading to Oxford today, hoping to roll into a college football championship. They will face off against Ole Miss tomorrow at 2:30. Coach John Summerall will lead the team despite taking the head coaching job at Florida. And that is
My name is Armand Gillespie.
And this is Philip Thomas.
And we are the Balled Online podcast where we cover all the major sports topics. But today we come to you all to talk about a more serious topic.
Suicide prevention. A little less than a week ago, a young, talented football player named Marshawn Nealon took his life after scoring his first NFL touchdown.
We stress the importance of life and how precious every person is. We on Balled Online Podcast hope if you're ever going through anything to please reach out to a loved one.
And if you think you have no one to turn to, please call 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. Remember, you are loved and cherished in every possible way.
Peace and always love from us. And remember, ball don't lie. Peace.
Hey, it's D. Riley of the 90s Hits, wishing you and your family a happy holiday season.
Good morning, Wake Up.
The Good Morning Show.
Good morning.
On WBOK.
We are back, OT. Dr. A.B. in the house. Andrea Boyles, Prof. Prof, you know, I used to be calling you bros, and you wouldn't even say nothing because I would be putting the in it.
Because I figure sometimes maybe it's about the accent.
Because like New Orleans, we say Honda. You know, what street?
Yeah.
You live on? How is you doing? So
I get it. So I'm thinking it's the accent.
Ignorant.
No,
But
I
smart.
don't think that's ignorant. I think it's just
our dialect. How we enunciate.
Well, people might say the same for me being from St. Louis. Sometimes you don't hear it as strong, but back home we say things like there, her, over the cur, sure,
Nelly, we stay strong. Let's go to the lines. Maybe Don will talk about that question we asked. Line number 1, Don. Good morning, good brother. You're on air with OT and Dr. A.B.
Yes, very good morning.
Good morning.
Hey, good
Can you hear
morning.
me?
And Happy holidays and Merry
Oliver, I have a
Christmas,
question for you. You said a couple of weeks ago, 1 week ago, you said your family bikes got stolen?
Man, they took our bike. They took several $100s worth of bikes off our patio, man. They really
Oh,
did.
your homeowner's insurance wouldn't cover it?
No.
The deductible, huh?
Exactly. You know, nowadays, people just to be insured, man, but the deductibles, in many cases, a lot of folk aren't taking advantage of insurance, Don, because of the deductibles. Because the only way they can afford to at least make the payment is a high deductible. But yeah, man, they took our bikes, bro.
Yeah. And that's up. That bike theft is up in the nation, you know. So many people buying new bikes and bike giveaways, and they're not registering the bikes. I had to remind a group that to register the bikes, and many of them, you can register them with no charge. So, but anyway, come on to the doctor, your guest, and you proposed a question about black men and black people in general. You know, when we deal with just reading, trying to study some of the issues of economics and things of that nature, how the economy is really measured. You know, for black people, it's a different dichotomy because, for instance, when Social Security came out, Social Security taxes and stuff, being collect Social Security, they didn't count domestic workers and people who worked in agriculture. And at that time, 90 years ago, black people did the housekeeping, the house cleaning. They were the housekeepers, and they still worked primarily in agriculture. Those industries wasn't calculated into being eligible for Social Security. And even today, we have
in the time we got left before we break again. The question I asked Dr. Boyles, right? So how do we keep attaching ourselves to everybody else's struggle when we still struggling?
So let me say this, you know, one thing, and I do get the question. I understand, and there are, you know, in tons of instances, black folks have talked about being exhausted. Black women, particularly, being exhausted, being on the front line of resistance, right? And so this idea of taking a break, don't call us, so to speak, because people have not showed themselves or endeared themselves as true allies. More often than not is how many in our community feels. Having said that, I think that, and I'll give an example. As a person who does Black citizen police conflict research, right? You know, so let me start here and say this. The idea that we might take a break then implies, on one hand, yes, we are certainly deserving of that because we have historically fought without limits, right? And everybody, one way or the other, have benefited from those freedoms, okay? So duly noted. But also it's important to understand or think about the fact that, again, black folks have never not been in a position historically targeted. The idea that I'm going to take a break is also me then thinking about that while I'm taking a break doesn't mean I'm not the target. Even if the focus seems to be on somebody else, that doesn't eliminate me from being the target. So my break can't totally mean full hands off. If I was doing police research, and which I have done for years, right? I can't then say, okay, well, they ain't really looking at black folks today. They're looking at a different group, right? They're coming for a different group. No, that's not true. Right. Black folks are never not on radar.
Go ahead, Don.
Yes. Well, let me say this quickly, briefly. Our history didn't start during a peculiar institution. Our history go back thousands of years. And I'm saying that to say centuries. We have to remember to PRAY, not be PREY. We understand the issues, but we still have to move in a way that is victorious. When you had the civil rights movement, though they knew what obstacles they was facing, the bull counters and all the other issues, they still was dressed very nice, and they still focus on the goal. So we can't allow ourselves to be paranoid. We have to understand the issues that you're addressing, them, good doctor, but we also have to understand the goals. For instance, I'm saying this, and this is the final comment. When you talk about no rest, do you know the 761st Tank Battalion, all black Tank Battalion?
Richard
the
Bulldog.
Black Panthers?
Richard Bulldog English, one of the commanders, was my uncle. He's from New Orleans, Professor English. They stood behind the enemy lines 188 days without rations or munitions.
That's right. They fought the longest.
Patton called them the Fighting Panthers.
Continuously.
Correct.
And in that fighting, guess what? In their fighting and defense, see, we looking at fighting as a violent act. Fighting is a defense. That's why they call it Department of Defense, or they call it the Department of War in the Trump.
Yeah.
But they fought and they defended, and guess what? They liberated others. And through liberating others, they found what they're calling a mission is defense. Training, military training is not about just fighting. It's about discipline, and it's about preparation. And when you prepare, when you pray, P-R-A-Y, you prepare for all challenges, all enemies, both foreign and domestic. So
Thank you, Dan.
I think that we can't get weary in preparation and the discipline. What we have to remember is what are our goals?
Gotcha.
The Bulldogs, the Black Panthers had goals in mind. That was to liberate and to defend.
Thank you, Pop. Appreciate it, man.
So I appreciate the comment on fighting and what that, and that can mean different
I think
things,
you wound
right?
up agreeing with you, saying that you always got to be prepared to fight.
We can be both, right?
Okay.
Black people can be fully exhausted from being on front line of the fight.
Mm-hmm.
Black people can also be agitated and aggravated from watching political circumstances that dictate somehow the benefits are always reaped for everybody else and less so for our people.
But why does everyone else's other minority groups, why does their economic, social, familiar,
because largely they're
not political standing improve over ours?
Because they are not constructed and perceived and ranked in this country as trafficked people in the same sense that we are as African Americans. We have been deemed, and everything about our identity has been strategically attached and devalued and synonymously
so America views us differently,
and synonymously perceived as slaves. But to be black in this nation historically is to be identified as a slave.
Okay.
And so the politics emerge from that space and doesn't waver or change very much comparable to folks who choose to come here.
Now, look, as balanced as Dr. Burroughs is, because look, as accomplished academically as she is, she's also a PhD in hood too, right? So she's both BOTH and BOFF, right? So I'm going to translate for her. She said, her and Don, whenever there's a struggle, we can't take a break from the struggle, whether it's ours or somebody else. But when those struggles exist, one of the things Dr. Burroughs said so eloquently is that after the struggle is over and our fight to help other groups, the lens that they're viewed and the lens that we're viewed and their social status changes. Ours, America still views us as the same.
Ours never changed.
Did I do that all right?
You did.
We're going to go to break. Dr. So you'd have passed me in that class.
Yeah, well, yeah. You would have got about a C. I'm just kidding.
Hey, I be knowing some stuff, and I be listening, and I speak several languages. Naiwal, New Orleans, a little, merci beaucoup, right?
Absolutely.
A little St. Louis, you heard me, right?
Yes.
Right, over there.
True that.
So we're going to take a break, and when we come back, Dawn Bradley Fletcher, New Orleans Women and Children's Shelter, and we're going to talk to them about what's happening at the shelter, and especially this explosion for women and children now. You're talking about being homeless in the economy, Doc.
Yeah.
Economy is really hitting them. That and a whole lot more on WBOK 1230 a.m. What New Orleans is, right?
Yes.
Still talking about all day long.
All right.
This is your news update for WBOK from WDSU. For all your news and weather, watch WDSU News, New Orleans' leader in live, local, late-breaking news. Today at noon and 4 p.m.
We're in for an easy breezy Friday up ahead. Today will be much cooler compared to yesterday. Actually, we broke some records yesterday. Today, we're going to see highs into the lower 60s. Breezy conditions out there as well, but plenty of sunshine. Then for tonight, lows dropping to the 30s and the 40s, so a little on the cooler side as well. But as we get to the weekend, highs returning to the 70s. From the WDSU First Warning Weather Center, I'm Raven Richard.
Attention, WBOK listeners. Are you a fan of the station and want to show your support and style? Well, we've got some exciting news for you. Introducing the official WBOK merchandise, the perfect way to wear your love for the station. Whether you're a longtime listener or a new fan, we've got something for everyone. Head to WBOK1230.com now and grab your WBOK gear before it's gone. When you buy WBOK merch, you're not just getting quality items, you're supporting the station you love.
Visit DePaul's new Algiers Health Center at 2801 General de Gaulle Drive to receive primary and preventive care for both adults and children. Services also include behavioral health, imaging, and on-site pharmacy, vision, Medicaid enrollment assistance, and more. For appointments, visit DePaulCommunityHealthCenters.org or call 504-207-3060.
You've got responsibilities, but that doesn't mean your dreams are on hold. At Southern University at New Orleans, our evening and weekend college is designed with your life in mind. Finish your degree, start a new one, on your time, your degree, your schedule. No excuses, just opportunity. Visit suno.edu and make your next move today.
Meet Leanna, a part-time chef and full-time mom. In the past, Leanna didn't have health insurance because she didn't think she could afford it. What she didn't realize is she qualified for Medicaid. She loves the coverage and peace of mind that comes with high-quality care. The kind of care you get with Healthy Blue. This is Medicaid, and it's for more people than you think. Maybe even you. To see if you qualify, go to myhealthybluela.com.
Happy holidays, everybody. This is Graylin Brown Banks of the world's largest front porch, wishing each and every one of you a very joyous holiday season. Stay safe and practice random acts of kindness.
Good morning, Wake Up.
The Good Morning Show.
Good morning.
On WBOK.
WBOK 1230 AM. Not only what New Orleans is talking about, but you don't need to change your dial. You can listen to us all day long. Will Sutton may be on break, but what we do here, disseminating information and educating the people, we don't take a break, man. Hey, Don, thank you for calling in on that question about when we attach ourselves to other folks' struggle, that doesn't mean we take a break. And like Dr. Ross said, you know, we even if we have the option whether or not to do both, there's no reason why we don't. And then how Black Americans, Africans in America, once the struggle for other people, once it's calmed down and they've moved on, then America's view of what was once its property still remains. the same. So let's talk about, man, we're going to.
And OT, I want to say real quick,
before we get to
one
Ms.
of the
Bradley.
things we also talked about is the fact that we can do both is possible, right?
Both is possible.
So it's okay I believe from a spiritual perspective, the understanding is charity begins at home. And so that means we can love on our own first. We can prioritize. In other words, is what I'm saying, our community. That's perfectly reasonable, right? But then also understanding in that prioritizing that resistance, there's never a pause in resistance, and that means different things.
I'm glad you did that, because from a spiritual perspective, how do you Matthew 25, 35, and 36 and watch other people and just not allow yourself to feel something? I think that's a whole nother conversation and topic about what's going on now with what's happening with illegal immigration and border patrol and all of that crazy stuff. But that's a deep piece. Talking about it spiritually being attached. Dawn Bradley Fletcher, welcome to the Good Morning Show.
Good morning, and thank you so much for having me. I'm really glad to be here.
So tell us a little bit about Dawn Bradley Fletcher and the New Orleans Women and Children's Shelter, and so we can get into this discussion, man, about the shelter grant and this issue. And I know if you were listening, I know you heard Dr. Burroughs and I talk about that the growing struggles, especially for women and children and families, dealing with their issues now. But right now, it's just you got the mic, Miss Bradley Fletcher.
Okay, well, I'm Dawn Bradley Fletcher. I'm the CEO at the New Orleans Women and Children Shelter. I've actually been working at the shelter for over 18 years.
Oh, wow.
And our mission is simple. We want to make sure that we keep families together, and more importantly, help them move from crisis to stability. And we serve families. So I'm going to tell you, we serve families who are experiencing homelessness. That means men, women, children, and many who you would never expect. So at the shelter, our families, they do not receive just a safe place to stay. They receive holistic support. So all of our families get an individualized case management plan. We believe in long-term follow-up support. So basically, we do whatever it takes to help our families move from a life of homelessness and instability to one of stability. And that's whatever it takes. So I'm excited to share more about our work, the impact we're making, and just how the community continues to show up for our families when it matters most.
And you guys were just awarded a $1.25 million grant. Man, talk about how that came about and how's that going to impact your program, and what can we do to continue to support it during this grant and afterwards?
Okay, yeah. So this is an exciting time for us, and I'm going to say, first of all, we were invited to apply. So we were, I would say, identified as an organization who, for me, making progress and addressing the homelessness concerns for families. So we were identified to apply. We applied. We were awarded. And I'm going to tell you, we're excited. It represents far more than a dollar amount for us. It's a powerful validation of our work and our impact and our future. For us, this is the largest gift to our organization, so in our history. And it just gives us the ability, and I would say flexibility more than anything, because this funding from Jeff Bezos and Lauren Sanchez Bezos is funding that it's flexible. So as long as we are helping the homeless community, we can help them in the most impactful ways. So this is really huge for our organization.
So and you heard us mention the fact earlier, and Dr. Burroughs will jump in when she's ready, that one of the fastest growing populations of homelessness are women with children or women in children. How has that affected New Orleans? Is New Orleans seeing a rise in that population also?
I think we are. I mean, we're seeing a rise in homelessness amongst families more than anything. But yes, homelessness is definitely on a rise in the New Orleans area. Our women and children are a part of that equation. I think, it's just really hard to pinpoint why. There's, so many are just facing instability because of job loss, rising rents, health crisis, and just so many unexpected hardships. So, but that's why we're here. I mean, our goal is to make sure that, we're doing the services, providing a safe place so that we can house as many families as we can. I'm not sure if you know, but in 2025, we moved to a new facility. So we purchased the facility in 2003. It's in Mid-City, and we were actually able to double our capacity. Oh, wow. So right now, we can serve up to 100 individuals at any given time. So we have the space for families. We're there, we're working, and we have all of the services to support helping them to move on to stability because, again, we're more than a shelter. We have additional programming, including case management, rapid rehousing programs where we can move our families to housing sooner, so that means they're spending less time in shelter. We also have what we call our transition assistance program, and this is a very important piece of our program because it provides that ongoing shelter support, post-shelter support, and it's just to make sure that our families stay housed. So once families move out of shelter, if they're facing falling back into homelessness, we're there to catch them fall so they can continue receiving case management services and all the supportive services that we offer.
Good morning. This is Dr. Boyles. Thank you so much for being on with us. And also, more importantly, thank you for all the work that you're doing. It's so very needed, and I'm certain that those families appreciate it. One of my questions actually speaks to you, your statement of moving families from crisis to stability, right? And I'm interested in knowing that, what does that look like in real time? I know that's probably a loaded question because I would imagine it varies from one family unit to the next, but I'm just interested if there's an example that you might be willing to share or how we might think about that, actual real-time practice.
Mm-hmm. So, and good morning, and thank you again for having me. But yes, so when our families come into shelter, first of all, we get referrals from Unity. We get referrals from the Office of Community Development, Nate Fields' office, Jefferson Parish Office of Community Development. So we immediately take that family in and we begin to work on their progress from the point that they enter shelter. Of course, there's rules associated with the shelter. We have an intake process. But we let our families know what the expectation is. And the expectation is that they will never be homeless again. So for us, we immediately start working on their case plan and identifying, what their basic needs are, the immediate needs that they have. We start working on goal setting, a stabilization plan. We have financial literacy programming. All of this is done in-house. We have a case management team that covers not, just the entry into shelter, but everything in between. And I want to give an example because we're finding, I want to share this because we have, I don't want to call it an issue because we have sort of been tackling it. We build relationships with landlords so they can rent to our families, but we've had a difficult time finding affordable housing. So one of the things that our rapid housing case manager does, she engages with the landlords, negotiates rents, and sometimes we have landlords who are reluctant to rent to large families. Right now, we have a family of 10 that's staying in shelter. We've had a family of 8. Our largest family was a family of 13. So, and just to give you an example of some of the work that we do that's, that speaks to their long-term stability. When they move into shelter, our families are provided a room. We have private bathrooms in each room. The rooms are completely decorated. They are very welcoming. And everything in that room, the families can take with them when they leave. Well, when they move in, we we talk about keeping the room clean, keeping it up, and we make sure that if they can thrive in that room and keep the room up, they can do the same thing in someone else's property. So we spend a lot of time making sure that we're providing not just basic needs support, but life skills training. So when they move into the residence, we're promising the landlords, hey, we've been working with this family. They're going to come into the home. They're going to take care of your home. It's been tried and tested. They stayed in our facility. These are the things that we offer. So when we talk about helping them become stable, it is everything from providing that immediate emergency shelter, making sure that they're safe, making sure that the kids have everything that they need to thrive. Case management, again, they move on to rapid rehousing. We have our transition assistance program. Education and employment, that is key. We're there to help with career readiness support. And that's everything from job searching to mock interviewing to building connections in the community to make sure that our community partners are hiring our families.
504-582-9422. We're talking to Dawn Bradley Fletcher. She's the CEO of New Orleans Women and Children's Shelter. So this is the largest grant award you guys have ever gotten?
Yes. This is the
Yeah.
largest.
Go ahead.
This is the largest grant in our history, yes, since our inception. We've like I said, we've been around for over 18 years.
Right.
And I'm going to tell you, we've served over 4,700 individuals in that time, and less than 2% of our families return to homelessness. So that is a statistic that speaks volumes.
So shout out to the Bezos. We really are, Lauren Sanchez as well as Jeff, man. This is a blessing. But so it's been around 18 years, the largest award you've ever gotten. How do you continue post this award, right? Because we know it's going to help expand your services. You guys are up to 100 now, but once this grant is used, how do you continue that effort?
Well, we're here for the long haul. Prior to receiving this grant, I'm going to tell you, we are beyond grateful to the Day One Family Fund. I mean, this is significant for the shelter and for our future. So the good thing about this is we were doing the work prior to the grant. This gives us the ability to expand. And as we put in our application, we're building on long-term programming. We're not going away. We're going to do whatever it takes to raise money to continue to support families. We have worked on a budget, Oliver, that you would look at and say, how in the world are they doing this work? And, again, this funding gives us the ability to serve far beyond the shelter. We can serve, homeless families who are living on the streets, living in their cars. We can serve them. We have what we call our Beyond Shelter programming. So that's families who do not come into shelter. So the funding will give us the ability to serve more people. But again, within a 5-year time, once this grant goes away, I would say, we're going to continue the work and we're going to do whatever it takes to continue fundraising. And, we heavily depend on our community to help us with funding and support. We have a few federal grants. We have foundation support, and we do a lot of fundraising, and individuals donate to the shelter. So we'll continue our efforts there.
If I might.
But we're not going away.
Okay, good.
If I could ask, how or in what way might you encourage the public or educate the public about their thoughts and perceptions of unhoused families? And the reason I'm asking that is because there is a trend to perceive unhoused people as deviant and to criminalize them, right? And so how do you address that from your angle with, providing these kinds of providing this kind of care, but then also how do you address that from the perspective of those who are actually unhoused, meaning who are battling perhaps shame and the embarrassment of it all?
Okay. Well, so families facing homelessness, first of all, there's no single face of homelessness. So, I really hate the stigma around homelessness because it could be anyone. It could be our family members. And when you look at the reasons why people fall into homelessness, I mean, it could be just an unexpected hardship. So many people are living one paycheck away from being homeless, and yes, it can be embarrassing and shameful for some, but for us, we focus on not feeling that shame. We treat our clients with dignity and care and respect, but, it's just really an unfortunate situation that the stigma is there. But for families who are experiencing homelessness, I mean, first of all, lifting them up. The community, sometimes look, and I can't even say that because I feel like our community has stepped up more than ever within the last few years to help our families. I find more people on the streets serving food and, identifying where the people who are street homelessness is, and, just showing up for them to serve food, offering clothing. I see so many organizations and people who are offering support. I think it's just so hard because there's not many places people can go.
Yeah.
And I get all the time when families move into shelter, oh my God, I've never heard of you.
Right.
And I know that our name is out there, but sometimes, people just don't have the resources or don't know where to go. So for the community, my suggestion is, just offer support, and that support could be offering them a resource. So many people have come to. I'm sorry.
No, I know we're pressing up on the top of the hour when we're going to lose you, and there's just so much. People are texting and people on social media that have these questions. So, that was a situation during the freeze. And of course, I'm familiar with what you do and what the shelter does. Y'all have been here, and thank God y'all are here and will be here. But during the freeze, there were several incidents where people would call for shelters because while they were gathering people off the street, I'll never forget a couple of mothers and her daughters and her children. They were concerned because they were mixing everybody in the same emergency shelter. And I found out that there were several calls about that. How do we fix that piece? How do people like you with expertise so that when there's an emergency, we specifically have a place where a mother can go with her young girls or young boys and not be targets? Because though most of the people who live on the street, many are not there by choice, people do get preyed upon in that community too. How do we fix that?
Yes. So I think what we need to fix is awareness. And I'm going to tell you, there is a plan for families whenever there's a freeze, and even on when the heat index is pretty high. We open up our shelters to serve additional people, and there is a plan in place. It's we have these emergency meetings. It's with the city of New Orleans. There's so many people on that call, but I think getting the awareness out there so that people know. If you come across a family during freezes, there is a place for them to go. So I think when we have our meetings, I will make sure, to focus on that. Okay. I know there's, I can't think of what department she works in, but her name is BB. I'm sure you know her. She's with the police department who goes out during the freezes and kind of gather people. Yes. There's also an outreach team that's out there. So I think I can get, use some phone numbers in the future so that we can figure out how to get the families into housing. But for me, I would say we need to focus on making people aware of, who the resources are. Because when there's a freeze night, we're there, we're open, and we accept families.
So before we close out this segment, so you can get a copy of this tape and send it off to other potential grantors and to Lauren Sanchez Bezos and Jeff Bezos. Let's just suppose they're listening right now. What would you say to them about the impact this grant is going to have and what it does to women and children and families here in New Orleans?
First, I just want to tell them thank you. I mean, this is huge. And again, it speaks to the work that we've done. And I am just so appreciative because it means that all of the people who are involved in the New Orleans Women and Children Shelter, we care. Everyone show up to work every day because they simply care. And care speaks to the quality of our work. And for them to see that we're doing this work in the community and to invite us to apply, it's meaningful. And to receive the funding, it's even more meaningful. So I am just so thankful to them because it gives us the opportunity to continue to work, and we can be flexible with the use of funds. And that's important when you're trying to assist people in the community, to be able to say, hey, I can help house you today. If you're on the streets, we may not have room and shelter, but we have funding that can get you housed today, and we can work with that family to get them off the streets. So to be able to have flexible funding, that's even greater. So I am just beyond grateful for, not just for the shelter, but for the families that we will be able to serve and the impact we will have on the community. So thank you to Jeff Bezos and Lauren Sanchez Bezos. This is amazing for the shelter, and it's transformative.
Ms. Fletcher, how can those of us in the community also help you?
Right.
How can we partner with you, volunteer with you, etc.?
You can do all of those things, and you can reach out to us on the website. We have a fundraiser coming up. It's Bubbles and Bubbly. It's family friendly. It's in March 29th, 2026. We have early ticket sales. Please go on our website. It's www.nowcs.org. You can sign up to volunteer there, donate to the shelter, sign up for the fundraiser, buy tickets for the fundraiser. Every dollar counts, and we appreciate every dollar because we are investing in families, and we're investing in their long-term stability.
Dawn Bradley Fletcher and Dawn, thank you. Anyone,
yes, thank you so
anyone
much.
and everyone in this social service community and caregivers that we know who you are. We appreciate you, and we really thought it was important that we share the news about this grant, about what your shelter does. And Doc, take a look at beyond this grant, but in a growing problem.
Absolutely.
Where women and children and families are being affected. How can people reach out to you? How can they, is there a website where they can donate, or where they can take a look at or volunteer at the shelter? Where do they find you, and where do they go to help?
So they can go to the website. That's the quickest way. It's www.nowcs.org. They can call the shelter directly. It's 504-522-9340. And we're on all the social media outlets. You can just look us up, New Orleans Women and Children Shelter. We're on Instagram and Facebook and LinkedIn.
Dawn Bradley Fletcher, CEO of the New Orleans Women and Children's Shelter. You promise to come back and share with us in the future?
Whenever you invite me, I will certainly come back. Absolutely. This is what I do. My job is to make sure that I am helping to break the cycle of homelessness, and that is what the New Orleans Women and Children Shelter and our entire staff, and actually from the top down, from the founders to the staff, the board members, that's what we do. We're making sure that we're helping break the cycle. So, yes, I'll be back. And thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to talk to, Mr. Tourism, New Orleans and Company CEO, Chairman Walt Leger. We're going to talk all things NO and New Orleans and Company. And when we talk about in company, we in the house, but we like people to come over. We New Orleans. Dr. Bros. WBOK, 12:30 a.m. What New Orleans is talking about all day long.
Orleans. Home of the Good Morning Show, 7 to 9 a.m. weekdays.
This news report is brought to you by New Schools for New Orleans.
I'm Misty Jordan with BIN News Now. President Trump is doubling down on his comments, blaming the deaths of Hollywood director Rob Reiner and his wife Michelle on, quote, Trump derangement syndrome.
I think he hurt himself in career-wise. So I was not a fan of Rob Reiner at all in any way, shape, or form. I thought he was very bad for our country.
Trump said Reiner was, quote, known to have driven people crazy by his raging obsession of President Donald J. Trump. Police in Miami are investigating after a woman was found dead inside of a freezer at a Dollar Tree store. An employee made the discovery Sunday. The victim is a 32-year-old physician and mother of two. It's believed she walked into the freezer Saturday before the store closed. And Merriam-Webster is selecting slop as its 2025 Word of the Year. Get BIN News now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Let's take a moment to celebrate great things happening inside our schools. NOLA Public Schools achieved a B District Performance Letter Grade. Orleans now exceeds its pre-COVID district performance for all students by more than 8 points. For the second year in a row, Black students from New Orleans outperformed the state average in all peer districts. For all other subgroups, economic disadvantaged students, multilingual learners, and students with disabilities, we also saw growth. Let's keep up the amazing work.
Good morning, Wake Up.
The Good Morning Show.
Good morning.
On WBOK.
We are back. OT-AB. If you might know who OT is, man, you better know who AB is. Dr. Professor Andrea Boyles, one of our leading social scientists. She's a think tank all unto her own, criminologist, a professor, social scientist, and all those things fighting for justice. We want to thank Dawn Bradley Fletcher, but we also want to thank Ms. Sanchez Bezos and Jeff Bezos. Well, what a really good. I mean, Bezos is really focusing on New Orleans, where his ex, Mackenzie, gave a whole bunch of money to Dillard and to universities, to HBCUs, and now him and his new boo. Him and his new boo is looking out for the women and children. Well, you just love it when a plan helps. Plan and help comes together. Talk about when a plan and help comes together. How does this little glorious Grammy, one of the cultural and traditional meccas of the world, how do we lead in per capita tourism? Why do so many people always want to come to New Orleans? Well, we got leaders and CEOs and people like Walt Leger making sure that not only we're hospitable, but we're the place where folk want to be. Walt Leger, welcome. Welcome back to the Good Morning Show.
Good morning. Good morning. It's great to be with both of you. I was hoping to be in studio with you, but I got a sick kid that I'm managing at home, so I'm happy to be on the phone with you.
Man, we just glad to have you.
Yes, thank you so much.
It's my pleasure to be with you guys. I appreciate you. You two are both part of the reason why people love coming to this city. The people of this city are special, and they make people feel welcome, and they make people feel like they're a part of the family when they're here, and both of you do that every day, and there's so many others that do it that make this a special place that we get to call home.
So before we get into New Orleans and Company and our projections and the outlook and how we've grown post COVID and ICE and terror and all those other things, many projections look good. I think it's an opportunity, man, to tell folk a little bit about New Orleans and Company, but also who is this Walter Leger, man, former legislator, attorney, official, and what drew you to this industry? Well,
thanks, OT. That's nice of you. Born and raised in South Louisiana. I grew up right outside of New Orleans in Arabia, Louisiana, and went to school here in the city. Eventually went up to LSU and then Tulane Law School, came back, practiced law for years, served in the legislature for 12, representing parts of the Irish Channel, Central City, Uptown, Gertown, and a bunch of other parts of New Orleans. Was fortunate enough to serve 12 years there. And as I was wrapping up my service, and my plan was to come home and raise my 2 young little girls and go back to practicing law. And New Orleans and Company and the previous leader, Stephen Perry, took me to lunch one day and asked me to consider joining the team. And what he said was that it was an opportunity to continue to sell and advocate and promote our city to the world in a little bit of a different way, but with the same kind of passion that I brought to public service and to the practice of law. And he said, look, just give it a shot and let's see what happens. I think it would be a really good fit. And within a few months of me starting, COVID happened, and that really sucked me in and really just, I think, turned the fire on. I felt like it was a real mission to help us grow back the economy, create opportunity for people in the community, bring people back to our city, and, even build upon the opportunities that we previously had to tell a deeper and richer story of our community. But it all comes down to trying to leverage that visitation to helping to create a better place to live, work, raise a family, invest, learn, and therefore a good place to visit. So putting residents, businesses, people first, and then trying to build from there. That's the quick story.
Global Chief and Insights called you, and congratulations for being there cover some time ago, but they called you a trailblazer in public service. Talk about New Orleans and Company and the role you guys play, because most everyday people wouldn't understand. That's also public service. It's part of tourism. It's public service. Talk about the role y'all play.
Yeah, particularly in a place like New Orleans where the economy does rely on visitors to help create revenue for the city and for the state, we get to get engaged in a lot of different things. And I can tell you what we see our role as is much more than just marketing and promoting our city as a place to visit. We believe we can be conveners and bringing together business people, community leaders, and others. And we're demonstrating that in the work that we've been doing with the development of this Vision 2035 plan, most recently rolled out the last couple of weeks. And, when I was in the legislature back in 2009, then Lieutenant Governor Mitch Landrieu, the hospitality industry, the convention center, they put some money together. They did a tourism master plan with Boston Consulting Group and asked them, how do we take our city to the next level for tourism? And it came back with a beautiful report, and it said there were a lot of things that we could do differently. One, we could get some additional resources to market, promote, and sell the city. We could build a new airport. We should build a new airport because the welcoming experience really matters. We should turbocharge the riverfront. We should invest in workforce development, workforce training programs, regional transit opportunities, and a number of other things. And, in 2020, when I got here, Stephen handed me that study. He said, it's time to update the tourism master plan. I went back and looked at it, and I came back to him and the board, and I said, I don't think that what we need right now is a tourism master plan. What we need is a vision for our community that's broader than that. Tourism will be strong if the community is stronger. And so we asked a number of groups from the region, GNO Inc., the New Orleans Chamber of Commerce, the Urban League of Louisiana, Greater New Orleans Foundation, and JEDCO, the Jefferson Parish Economic Development Corporation, to join us on a steering committee. We hired a local group, Trepwise, and they worked with us to engage 250 people and organizations across the community. We had community meetings, listening sessions, round tables. We actually reviewed about 20 master plans that had been developed across the community, whether that was stormwater management plans, the Big Green Easy Plan, the Youth Master Plan. And we said, how do we put together a framework to try to build this stronger community and influence better outcomes for the people who live here? That's what this master plan, this vision plan attempts to do. It attempts to create space for engagement. And we recognize that there'll be some things that people in our industry want to really lead on, world-class assets, ensuring that the convention center, the Superdome, this new Omni Hotel, things like that get done so that we can compete, but that there are other aspects, regional transit, where tourism has a strong opinion on what should happen, but not necessarily need that. We don't necessarily need to lead that table, but we need to support it. We need to encourage business community support. We need to get to a place where people can live anywhere in our community and work anywhere in our community and access those jobs easily. And we've seen some advancement on that, but a lot more work to be done. So that's just a little example. But also I'll say last year what our team did was we brought, millions of people to the city for a variety of conventions, conferences, meetings, sporting events, special events, and just general leisure activities, all of which generated substantial economic activity for our member businesses, but also for the people who live in our city. And now we want to keep moving the ball forward. Obviously, we want to grow, but we also want to get the community to a stronger place where outcomes are shared more evenly, where people have more opportunity. And that's something that our team works really fiercely on every day.
I'm wondering if you could tell us how, more specifically, these efforts are geared towards community members or, stakeholders, entrepreneurs, and the like that may be struggling with resources and different things that make them viable, that are sort of things that are working against them traditionally and otherwise, that keeps them from being as prosperous or as visible and therefore then as viable as others in this tourism industry?
So a couple of things. I mean, one, we really, our team in the external affairs area works really hard to create both job fair opportunities throughout the community, but also training opportunities in partnership with organizations like, I know this year we did some big training initiatives with both New Orleans Culinary Hospitality Institute, NOCI, and also with LSU Distance Learning to try to create some pathways within the industry where people can enter the industry and then grow in the industry into roles that are obviously create more responsibility, but also higher opportunity to earn. Supplier diversity has been a real focus where we know we've got, while most of our members, we have about 1,200 member businesses, while most of our members are very small businesses, the ones that probably get the most attention are the larger hotels, the larger restaurant organizations with the bigger number of employees. And so, Kevin Ferguson, who is our Vice President of External Affairs, has led some great efforts on supplier diversity to make sure that we're matching small emerging businesses, particularly minority, women-owned businesses, to opportunities to connect to these larger operators who have needs, who have subcontractors that provide services to them, and that creates opportunity as well. Then I think about, the work that we're beginning to embrace with the Vision 2035 plan. Just last week, we did a call with the New Orleans African American Museum, and we were having some discussions around how this plan really calls for increasing economic opportunity in a variety of neighborhoods across the city. Treme being one that's of real interest. Treme, obviously, critically important historic African American neighborhood, probably the leading in the country, historically. And yet, over the last couple of years, some real tension in the neighborhood due to the expansion and then lack of enforcement around short-term rental laws and other things that have sort of really put a challenge in that neighborhood. Furthermore, how do we ensure that there can be development in that neighborhood with, smaller restaurants and also retail opportunities that are not disruptive to the traditions of the neighborhood and to the residents of that neighborhood, but that do create a compelling reason for folks who are visiting to go to the museum, to be able to have some meals, to be able to spread some of the economic dollars that they would otherwise maybe spend in the French Quarter. Now they can spend those in Treme. That's true of many neighborhoods across the city, though. where they say they want more economic activity from visitors, but that doesn't necessarily mean they want to be overrun with visitors either. And so we're working with those residents, with those neighborhood groups, with businesses in those areas to try to find ways to create opportunity for people to get into those neighborhoods, spend their dollars, and furthermore, have people in our own community get into those neighborhoods and spend their dollars to support those businesses as well, so that you can have vibrant neighborhoods that are made up of residents, but also economic opportunity for the people who live in that neighborhood, as well as those who visit it, whether they be visitors from other cities or whether they be visitors from other neighborhoods. We want to create that economic opportunity for everybody. And so those are a couple of ways, but we also work with a number of different partners across the community in the HR, in the human resources space, to try to connect people to job opportunities, not just in hospitality and tourism, but in other sectors. And it's our hope that sectors like higher education and healthcare and technology and others can continue to grow and create competition for jobs in our city. I tell people a lot, I'm like, look, tourism hospitality is the number one industry in our city. We'd like to be the third or fourth most important. We think we'd still be really viable, but we'd have even more opportunity for the people who live here.
And I know that, and thank you for sharing that information, because I know one of the concerns also is about preserving the culture, right?
Gentrification.
And so, yes. And so I'm just wondering, as that happens, right, these efforts in, assisting and increasing in various ways the viability and the visibility of New Orleans, who may have traditionally been at a disadvantage in more ways than one in the tourism industry. I'm wondering how that happens, or how you all think about that in ways that preserves the culture, so that people don't visit and ultimately exploit, and then in some ways leave, the communities culturally decimated, or at least feeling as such.
Yeah, I mean, it's important. I think I mentioned short-term rentals and Treme. I think the real issue there is affordability and housing affordability. We're very focused on trying to increase enforcement around that. I recognize that short-term rentals are a part of the kind of visitor economy now, and certainly for some people in our community, they're investments and things that help them to pay the bills with insurance rates and cost of living continuing to go up. So we believe there's a place for that, but we also think that we need affordable housing in our neighborhoods, so that people who live here can afford to live in a double and make a living and make a life, and not be kind of pushed out because someone can make so much more money renting that double out as a short-term rental. So I think affordability in housing is really critical to protecting culture bearers and others. We've also worked on a lot of initiatives to try to empower the creative community, especially proud of our website design on our musician database. It's our desire to have micro websites for every musician in the city that wants one. And what we've done with that, I think we now have several hundred that have taken advantage of that opportunity. What we've done is we've been able to promote those individuals for opportunities with conferences, conventions, meetings, for gigs. We've worked with the venues and helped to drive impact for those folks through NOLA by NOLA, which is an annual event that we've established that actually helps to create hundreds of shows across the community in every neighborhood in the city, in venues across the city, to highlight that music. But what these microsites also do is they're a place for people to go learn about each and every one of our musicians. They can post their music on there to get it promoted and elevated. And we've got millions and millions of people coming to that site. And so we're leveraging the reach that we've grown to give them a platform. And we think that's really important. And we're working on doing some similar things with others as well.
We got to pay some bills, take a quick break when you come back. But while you go on the break, I want you to think about the Lake Murph Trail and Ed McNeil, along with was the Black Tourism Network years ago with Gwen Carter and Ed Robinson, talked about the growth of the coming boom in ethnic travel. And you've heard me talk about what is a a global phenomenon now, eco-tourism. And then the third part of that is how do we begin to market emerging economies? That and a whole lot more with the CEO and chairman of New Orleans and Company, Walt Leger, after the break on WBOK 1230 AM. What New Orleans talks about, Dr. A.B., all day long.
This is your news update for WBOK from WDSU. For all your news and weather, watch WDSU News, New Orleans' leader in live, local, late-breaking news. Today at noon and 4 p.m.
Good morning and happy Friday. I'm Morgan Lentis with WDSU News, and here's a look at today's headlines. New Orleans police are investigating a deadly shooting in Algiers. We're told it happened on South Lawn Boulevard around 3:15 a.m. Police say a man was shot and died at the scene. There is no word right now on a suspect or a possible motive. Then the Department of Homeland Security is providing an update on the number of illegal immigrants arrested by Border Patrol agents during Operation Catahoula Crunch. As of this morning, they say that number is approximately 370. DHS officials continue to say they are arresting the worst of the worst, but little information is being released about the people taken into custody. And the future of the Leah Chase School is still uncertain this morning. The school board chose not to vote last night on possibly closing the school. During a packed meeting, one community member even offered $1.5 million to help the school's financial issues. No word on when board members could make a decision. And finally, Tulane is heading to Oxford today, hoping to roll into a college football championship. They will face off against Ole Miss tomorrow at 2:30. Coach John Summerall will lead the team despite taking the head coaching job at Florida. And that is a look at
New Orleans, are you ready? A fresh voice in the city is here, bringing you the beats, the culture, and the stories that matter. From local music and food to real talk on what's happening in the streets. We've got you covered. Stay tapped in. Follow us on all platforms at WBOK 1230 for the latest updates and exclusive content. Your city, your culture, your news. Don't just hear about it, be about it. Follow WBOK 1230 now.
Good morning, wake up. The Good Morning Show. Good morning. On WBOK.
Dr. A.B. O.T. and W.L. Walt Leger, CEO and chairman of New Orleans and Company. When he says New Orleans and Company, that means everybody else. Even if we don't expect you, New Orleans, we open the door. Well, we went to break with a couple of questions, man, that date all the way back to Ed McNeil and Murph Trail about the growth of ethnic travel, as well as ecotourism. I talked about it on the campaign trail, how it's booming throughout the world, and we got our natural topography is some of the best in the world. How do you deal with those things?
Yeah, I think those are absolutely target audiences for us, and we work to expand the view of what New Orleans is and what it has to offer every day, particularly when I think about ecotourism. Some of the things that I think have begun to like resonate as we push this out through media and other customer channels, things like City Park, certainly just getting recognized by the Washington Post as one of the great urban parks in America.
Absolutely.
That's a great thing to elevate that there is more than the French Quarter here in New Orleans, right? And what that does is then open the door to talk about Bayou Sauvage and, other opportunities in the city, but also in the region that speak to the adventure that people want to have when they travel. And so those opportunities are definitely real and they exist, and we're tapping into them with our tour operators as much as possible. Same things that we're doing with some of the another initiatives you've seen this year. I'm sure you saw that we were really thrilled to be recognized by UNESCO as a creative city for music this year. An effort a long time in the making, but UNESCO is one of those organizations internationally that allows us to begin to have a presence in every country around the world. And that's been hard in the past because the media reach is just difficult to get to everyone. No matter how hard you try, no matter what resources you've got to focus a lot of your resources on fishing where the fish are, and there are more mature travel markets than others. But what UNESCO does is it gives you an entree into, one, elevating our culture and our musicians in a way that's a whole new level, and two, that does have a reach that is beyond the traditional Canadian, European, and even Australian, and South American markets that we've really worked hard to cultivate over the years. So I think those kind of things are important, and they elevate us in a way. Same thing with Michelin. Michelin is another one on the food side. It's not the only way to judge what a great restaurant is, but it is a way to open people's eyes in new markets to the great city of New Orleans and the incredible culture and all of the other things we have to offer here. And those things start to move the needle. And then you've got to get real tactical with actual tour operators who can bring people in and have them experience our city. They help us sell it, and then they help us bring folks to the city.
Well, New Orleans has always punched above this weight, but too often it's been in spite of instead of because of. We got 60 seconds left. And I want to walk through the lens of someone who does it every day, especially for our listening audience. New Orleans 20 years from now, its position in place in tourism will be. Finish that up for me.
We'll be a place where people continue to come together to do big things. We'll be a center of conventions, conferences, and meetings that are not just about people having a meeting, but are about the most important issues impacting society, whether that be scientific, whether it be technological, whether it be educational, and also will be a center of excellence in culinary, in music, and not just in the performance of those things, but in the education around those things, the uplifting of community in those things, and the business associated with those things, so that the community can be uplifted together. That is a vision that I have for it. I think also what that does is serves as a welcoming mat for investment and for attracting the top students from around the world to our incredible universities, and then growing a more thriving economy around the community for all of us.
Wow, well, I think you hit the nail on the head, man. Thank you. First of all, thank you for what you do. And let me say this, Steve Perry was a renowned name. I mentioned people like Ed McNeil and Dr. Trail and, of course, Jimmy Ford and some of the late trailblazers in this business. But you've created your own brand, and we haven't gone back because you've helped us move forward. So especially with the city's gone through, COVID and every other thing that I could name. Thank you for being a stabilizing effort. And that, every father wants to know that their child doesn't just maintain the status quo, you advance it. I really appreciate the work you and your team are doing to advance the travel industry and the tourism economy here in New Orleans. Thank you.
Thank you, and I can't tell you how much it means to hear that coming from someone like you, OT. Thank you. It means a lot.
And thank you for joining us today and talking with our listeners.
Yeah, no, the relationship you guys have with WBOK and is important, and we appreciate it. Well, have a happy holidays,
Absolute
man.
pleasure.
Bless you and your family. Tell your dad hello, and keep doing what you do. We need you, man.
Yes, sir. Thank you both, and happiest holidays to you, and blessings to everyone at BOK.
Thank you.
Well, hey, man, great conversation, Dr. Boy. Yeah. Man, yeah, and he gets it, right? We touched on a whole lot of stuff like ecotourism and some of those things, and ethnic travel, emerging markets. We didn't get a chance to get into it. When folk look at South America, Australia, and Asia, one of the largest emerging markets is Africa. Yeah. They're producing more millionaires, and the crazy thing about it, more female African millionaires than any other country in the world. So, hey,
yeah,
the future is bright. Let's hope so.
Yes, we want that to be the case for New Orleans.
No doubt about it. Look, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, Ryan Hamilton and Angel Burns, right? Hey, let their liberty be, or be what? Liberty Bank back in the studio with us. But they got me mumbling and stumbling. We'll be back after the break. WBOK 12:30 a.m. What New Orleans is talking about all day long, baby.
This is your news update for WBOK from WDSU. For all your news and weather, watch WDSU News, New Orleans' leader in live, local, late-breaking news. Today at noon and 4 p.m.
We're in for an easy breezy Friday up ahead. Today will be much cooler compared to yesterday. Actually, we broke some records yesterday. Today, we're going to see highs into the lower 60s. Breezy conditions out there as well, but plenty of sunshine. Then for tonight, lows dropping to the 30s and the 40s, so a little on the cooler side as well. But as we get to the weekend, highs returning to the 70s. From the WDSU First Warning Weather Center, I'm Raven Richard.
Trying to grow your business or increase traffic to your location? We can help. WBOK 1230 AM has a number of solutions that will meet your individual needs. Give one of our consultants a call today at 504-582-9420 or email us at info@WBOK1230.com. And remember, an investment with WBOK is an investment in our community. Call today.
This is Andronika Morris, host of Put Housing First. Join us every Tuesday at 12 o'clock, where we will discuss how housing affects every aspect of our lives and what's necessary, what's needed to guarantee housing for all. Join us every Tuesday at 12 o'clock as we dig down deep onto the issues that affect all of us.
New Orleans, the city of festivals and second chances. This is Mr. Rocky of Faithers in Jesus the Christ, inviting everyone to come to the table of grace. No matter where you are or what you're dealing with, guilt, bad habits, mistakes, or heavy hearts, Jesus still calls us his friend, and his grace is waiting for us. On the first Sunday of the year, January 4th, 2026, at 8:30 a.m., tune in to WBOK 12:30 a.m. or watch live on Facebook or Instagram. We'll reflect on his work on the cross, his resurrection, his ascension, and the hope of his return for we who that believe and have received him by faith. So join us at the table of grace, where mercy is fresh, forgiveness is real, and grace is served for people like you and me.
Meet Leanna, a part-time chef and full-time mom. In the past, Leanna didn't have health insurance because she didn't think she could afford it. What she didn't realize is she qualified for Medicaid. She loves the coverage and peace of mind that comes with high-quality care. The kind of care you get with Healthy Blue. This is Medicaid, and it's for more people than you think. Maybe even you. To see if you qualify, go to myhealthybluela.com.
This is The Law in Your Legacy. I'm attorney Pete Hamilton.
I'm attorney Ryan Hamilton. Losing a loved one is tough enough. Do you really want your family dealing with court battles and paperwork on top of it?
Whether you choose a will or a trust, think ahead. Take care of your family. Let them focus on healing instead of headaches. This is not legal advice. That's just a tip brought to you by Liberty Bank and Trust. For more information, go to libertybank.net or contact us at 504-915-5016.
Hi, I'm Monica Pierre.
And I'm Sally Ann Roberts, and we are the host of your Power is On gospel music show on WBOK Sunday mornings.
Best wishes this time of year. Remember, it's all about faith, family, and food.
Happy holidays, everyone. Enjoy. And remember, your power is on.
Good morning, wake up. The Good Morning Show. Good morning. On WBOK.
We are back, man. We want to thank all of our guests, man, from New Orleans Women and Children's Shelter, Miss Bradley, Dawn Fletcher. We want to thank Walt Leger, New Orleans and Company. That's just like when somebody say, how your mama and them. That means your mama and everybody else, right?
Yes.
But we are here with now, Dr. Bars, I am taking the title and giving it to Angele Thibodeau Burns. You are now the new Liberty Lady.
All right.
With one of New Orleans, man, established families, man, attorney.
Yes.
Ryan Hamilton.
Yes.
Dr. Bob, you're the queen of trust, of fighting for trust and justice. But we want to talk about a different kind of trust, financial trust.
Yes. Well, we're kind of talking about the same trust, but, because you have to trust the trust. Did I say that? Did I
All right.
say that?
Can we say that again?
Yeah.
Trust the trust.
You have to trust the trust.
Trust the trustee.
But so here's the thing. Okay, there we go. The trustee. So the point.
A professor, a lawyer, and the Liberty Lady, and me, old burnt up politician.
To the point
Talk
of
show
our
host.
guests being here, right?
That's right.
They're going to help us understand why we should trust the trust. Like, what does that mean? What is it?
Right.
And so let's start there, if you will.
Yeah. Well, good morning. Well, thank you for having me. I'm Angele Thibodeau Burns, as you mentioned, from Liberty Bank, and I'm involved with community engagement with Liberty. And I have an exciting guest with me. I have attorney Ryan Hamilton.
Happy to be here.
I am so excited to say he is my godson. And so I'm really
Y'all ought
proud.
to see her blushing. Her cheeks just expanded about
Proud
an inch and a half, no
Yes,
doubt about
indeed.
it. So, what trust? I mean, that's just something between people.
Do we need one?
And what
Well-
is
Can
it?
we afford one?
Well,
Why do you need one?
Well, a trust is a three-party agreement, right? It's something that you're going to use to avoid probate or succession. And as we talked about, you need to trust the trust, and you also need to trust the trustee because that is the person that you will be leaving in charge when you're gone. I think a lot of people know the word executor. So the trustee is in that capacity of being the person who's in charge, who's going to be in control of the funds, whatever you're leaving. Whatever you dictate to them in the trust, they're going to have the power to go into Liberty Bank and get the money out or go take a mortgage out on real estate from the bank or anything like that. So you have to trust the trustee. But let me step back a little bit. The trust is essentially, we're going to take all of our things out of our name and we're going to place it in the trust. So you will create this entity of sorts, and initially you will be all three parties to the trust. You're the settler of the trust, that's the person creating it. You are the trustee, that's the person managing it. And you are the beneficiary, that's the person who benefits from the thing. So if we take a house, you have to pay the taxes and the insurance, you get to live in it, you get to use it, you can sell it, you can mortgage it, you can do whatever you want. And then in this document, you're gonna name who's gonna be the successor in those positions, right? So it won't have to be, you could have the same person could be the trustee and the beneficiary, but those can be different people, especially if you're concerned about one of your children and you want to protect them from themselves. You may pick the most responsible child and have them as the trustee to watch over. And there's a thing called a spendthrift provision. So we know some people may like to spend a little bit. So what we would do is we would stick that, and this is something that you can't do through ordinary probate and succession in a will. We can say, all right, in my case, oldest brother, they're going to give it to my oldest brother. He'll manage the money, right, and then pay
I'm going to be the irresponsible child in this in this scenario. He'll dish me out the money so I can't go buy a brand new truck when I get that money or sell. And then so in the break earlier, we were talking about people losing houses. And if you just leave, let's say you leave a house to 10 siblings with no rules, all the 10 children become owners. They all have the right to live there and automatically, but they might not pay the taxes. And then you lose the house to taxes. And now, so that real estate is lost. But if you put that house in a trust and you nominate the most responsible one to be in control of pay the taxes, and and say if who's living there doesn't pay the taxes and the insurance, they can be evicted, and then we'll rent it out so we can keep it.
That would fix a whole lot of family confusion. Lord.
I think so.
At least on paper.
At
least on paper.
At least on paper.
Legally, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, it might keep a fight though.
Yes.
So one of the questions always is when you're talking about dealing with executors and lawyers and trusting the trustee and trustor, right? Is cost. I've seen the cost vary to enter an agreement from under thousands of dollars to thousands of dollars. And in many cases, when you talk to families, they'll say they don't enter into these trusts or get these agreements because it costs too much. How expensive is it?
It depends, because it's going to depend on the great lawyer answer. It depends. It's going to depend on how much real estate you have, where it's located, because there's fees. Because you're now establishing an entity and transferring your home into there, you have to record that at land records. The city of New Orleans is going to charge you a fee. There's some work to do other than just the will. But I would say a ballpark number is starting about $3,000. The thing about that, though, is that one joint trust could eliminate the cost of 2 successions. And if you own property in multiple states, it could eliminate the cost of 4 successions for a married couple.
But do that now, because I've heard so many. On the high end, I've heard $2,500 to $3,000. Let people know that investment also saves you money. Could save you thousands.
Absolutely, it could save you thousands, and it could keep the house in the family.
And save the property, which is ultimately
several thousand dollars, right?
We're trying to create generational wealth. And I think we talked about this earlier on the break. It's just what you said a little bit about statistics in our community, in our African-American community, and how we are not as well off as our, ancestors were just 1 or 2 generations ago. And we're trying to, rebuild wealth in our community. And this is one way to do it.
I want you to stay there, Angel, because you've been on the front line in trying to educate folk about recapturing our financial standing, and creating generational wealth, and especially owning stuff and having access to property, or keeping so much of our property has been lost. Talk about Liberty's quest the last several years, where you guys have been kind of leading voice and saying, hold on a second, right? Just because you make money doesn't mean you have money or have established yourself in this country financially.
Yeah, in our community, in our African-American community in this country, many times we spend as much as we make. And many times we are spending at a rate higher than we're making the money. So we're huge consumers, and we contribute a lot to this country in so many different ways. But how can we make sure that our children are better off than we are? How are we going to make sure that our grandchildren are better off? And actually with Liberty Bank, we have something that's called, we've partnered with the National Banking Association, NBA, and it's called Our Money Matters. And if you go on to libertybank.net, you sign up. It's free. The bank is paying the cost. It's a financial wellness portal. And you do a quick little inventory. You answer honest questions about yourself. And then the whole experience is customized. So if you're getting ready for retirement, if you're trying to take charge of some student debt, if you're trying to buy your first house, whatever it is that's important to you, it's going to customize the experience through education and learning and budgeting. And Mr. Alden McDonald is passionate about budgeting. You got to have a budget. And I know it sounds so simple, but too often.
Big Mac will budget the budget.
Yeah. We are spending more than we make. So that's just something for us to think about. And I'll do a quick plug. We have this low interest credit card where if you are paying 18, 19, 22% interest, we've got around an 8 or 9% interest credit card. Transfer all of that debt.
I did it, and look, I'm shameless here.
We've all done it.
There used to be a Liberty lady, Ann Duplessis, sat down with me. That Liberty credit card is one of the best things that ever happened in terms of low interest rate and how the payment schedule is never too high.
Yeah. We're talking about short-term planning and long-term planning. The budget is one piece, and then the trust
you gotta
is
have
a whole
something
nother.
to pass on.
Right. It's that part. Can we say that again?
So Dr. Bros and I have established some trust. Walk us through the steps to doing that.
So the step one is the legal part, right? You have to establish the agreement, and you have to lay down the rules of who will get what, who will be in charge, that whole thing. Once you've got your document, you then need to go over to Liberty Bank and open up a bank account, right? Because the trust is only as good as what's in it, right? We've got to put the real estate in it. We've got to put the LLCs in it. We've got to put all the checking accounts, the savings accounts.
Put my bands in it.
You got to put your bands in it. If you got your calculation.
Got to put the chair in.
You put the chair in it. So everything's got to go in the trust. And so that you can't look if you establish a trust and then you got money sitting in the bank and you haven't directed that goes to the trust, then now you wasted your time, right? So you've got to, once you establish it with myself or any other lawyer that does it, then you need to go over to Liberty and let them open you a trust account. If you want to buy real estate, let them,
Well,
give you a mortgage.
I want the house, I want the summer home, I want the bands, and the cheering every now and then.
Oh, okay. Well, then let's see where we start that at. Like, what's step one to that? And that is what I want to ask you. Let's say, hypothetically speaking, right? I hear you. I understand that this may be an important thing that I need to do, for me and my family. But I don't know much beyond opening a bank account.
Okay.
If that. So I'm going to play that person, right? Where do I even begin?
Well, you could call
this?
me.
Because I barely even have property. I just don't understand. So now what? Yeah.
So I think you need to contact the lawyer. I give free consultations. Most lawyers will give free consultations, and you may not need a trust, right? So maybe if you don't have real estate, maybe you don't need a trust. Maybe you only have one child and you want to give it to them. Maybe that's not a trust, but what you need to then, you still need to plan, right? You need to say who you want to make your medical decisions. You need a power of attorney. If you have some money in the bank, you need to name a beneficiary. That's free. That doesn't cost anything. And a power of attorney is a much cheaper document than a trust, right? So there's a starting point. Maybe a trust isn't for everyone, right? But have the free consultation and figure out what you need. At the bare minimum, you have to do some type of plan. And that plan might be, I talked to the lawyer. I just need to go over to Liberty Bank and update my beneficiaries. And, that might be it. You might not have to spend money. But if you have, a home and maybe a rental property and some money in the bank that you want to control who gets what, so that's the difference too. The will is just instructions to the court. You're leaving a job for somebody to go do the succession and the probate. And additionally, you can't restrict how money is being spent, right? So if you just leave them a beneficiary, if they get the $50,000, they can spend it how they want. In the trust, you can say, hey, look, you only get this $50,000 for a purchase of your first home, for college tuition, or I'll give it to you on some increment, $1,000 a month, or whatever the case may be. Whatever you want to come up with, you can do that. So you have a little bit more control in the trust, but it's more expensive. And if you don't have the income or you think you don't have the assets to do it, then maybe you don't do a trust, but let's at least talk about a power of attorney, a will, a plan, because there's a free plan just to go update your beneficiaries. You got an insurance policy? I have a lot of clients that come talk to me and they got their girlfriend from 30 years ago on their insurance policy. And if they pass away
because they've never updated the information.
Updated that, then
good stuff.
Yeah, you need to go update that because now, hey, you're stuck.
Not your boo right now.
Not your boo right now. Update it to your boo right now.
Yeah, maybe that's something. You know, we're going into the new year. That's something you need to look at. If you have insurance, any type of insurance, get in the portal and see, did you put a beneficiary in? Is the beneficiary the right person for right now? And you know what I think about in this city? I think about, this is an amazing city. I came back home in 2021. It's an amazing city, potholes and all. But I think about the people who bring the magic in this city, the musicians, the people in the entertainment industry, the artists, and on and on. But then I also think of the small business owners, the people who own the restaurants, the barbers, the beauticians. You work hard every day. You work for yourself, but then also if something happens to you tomorrow, where do all your assets go?
And that the music rights, the BMI, that's another place you need to update. Yeah, that's a big one for the artists in the city.
You know, I'm proud of Ryan. You know, Ryan Hamilton, look him up.
Absolutely.
But if you work hard, but what happens if we get in our car and something happens? Where are all your assets going to go if you don't have a plan?
Ryan, thank you.
No problem.
Not only a notable family, but committed to public service in areas like this. And the trust is important. My family, from my mother to my own immediate, we've experienced the trials and tribulations of not having that done already. It costs more when you wait.
It can tear families apart.
How can folk reach out to you?
You can call me at 504-915-5016. Once again, that's 504-915-5016. Or find me on any social media platform at RC Ham Law.
And on Gerald Thibodeau Burns, this quest from Big Mac to the first Liberty Lady and to now, I'm crowning you the new Liberty Lady. This effort to educate our community on financial stability and generational wealth. And you consistently mention generational wealth because you're watching too many people do well now that they think they're doing well, but not having anything to pass forward. That quest is going to continue.
You know what I'm thinking about too is just a lot of times, and I'm a lifelong educator,
right.
And you know, we don't make a lot of money and we work really hard. We care about the community. No matter how much money we do or don't make, you can always put away some. Even if every 2 weeks you're putting away $20, $25, I mean, put something away for yourself and for your children. You got to put something away. We are huge consumers. I love stuff, but you invest in yourself first.
And it's interesting to have that conversation right at Christmas.
In Liberty and Hamilton,
when there's a
we
lot
trust.
of spending happening, right?
Yeah.
We need to be absolutely reminded
Yes.
that, yeah, we should be investing in ourselves. Yes.
Before we go, we established some trust.
Yes, we did. We did.
Definitely
And
some
very
trust. That's right.
trusting information that a lot of us just don't know. Sometimes I think we know we want to do better about some things. We don't always just understand the process and the steps.
Right.
And we don't always have, trusting conversations.
Well, I just love these conversations, whether it's with the new Liberty Lady, or Joe Burns, or Mr. Hamilton, who teach us how to protect what we have.
That's right.
We've lost so much property. These conversations are important. And I love, Angel, one of the last things you said, is no matter what you make, you can always put something on the side.
Put a little away for yourself. Because you want to retire at some point, and you want your children and your grandchildren to be better off than you. Wasn't that always, the American dream?
Raise the bar every generation.
Free consultation?
Free consultation.
And give that number one more time,
That's
Ryan
504-915-5016. 5016.
So, Doc, how we gonna handle all this property you and I we got?
I think we need to trust the trust.
But I already
And
told you what I want.
The trust process, the process to the trust.
I want the big house. I want the Benz. I want that lot uptown.
This is starting to feel a little morbid, you know,
Yeah.
like because.
Well,
yeah, you telling me what you want?
Telling you what I want.
And,
well, OT, let's talk
But you trust?
about this.
Wait. You trust me, don't you? Go ahead. And the
I was
moral
gonna
of the
say,
story is
what I don't want.
establish some what?
Some trust.
But I don't want anybody to have spender's remorse in January. Doc, you hit on something so important. This, like the next couple of days, people are going to spend, but you don't have to.
Yes.
Pull it back.
Oh,
Bake
my
some
goodness.
cookies. Karaoke party. I mean, we don't want to always do potluck because we're from New Orleans and we don't want everybody's potluck. So maybe just do like a cookie decorating party. Do a karaoke party. Bring a bottle of wine party. The point is we don't have to spend.
Yes.
Right.
Because in January we're
goodness.
going to have spender's remorse.
And that's
Yes.
how, and
And you
that's how
have
you
to
end
have
the
something left to put in the
In the
trust.
Yeah.
Well, now that
Yes.
we've established some trust
Oh my goodness.
and we put some stuff on the side, you and I guess we can sit down now that we trust each other.
Yes.
Yes.
No doubt
We're
about it.
all trusting.
But
of
bring
this
us
trust.
bring us home. Happy holidays
Yeah.
to everybody. And as you go through this season, it's an important season to remember. It's not just about giving and receiving. It's about doing what Ryan Hamilton said, right? Sit down, free consultation. Sit down with a young
Invest
attorney
in
like
yourself. Invest in your
that.
family.
And go to Liberty Bank. Liberty Bank has been so helpful to me. And, you know, there used to be Liberty Lady Ann Duplessis. We got a new Liberty Lady who's a former teacher. And, Doc, it doesn't take much, man, to get the best information, especially about your financial life.
Absolutely.
Doc, bring us home.
You know, I think it's very important any time of the year to have this conversation for sure. And I'm an educator also, so I'm all for every opportunity that we have to educate one another. And it makes a great difference to have that conversation with someone that you don't feel like is after you for something, or like there's some kind of right agenda or motive
doubt
other
about
than
it.
to see you prosper. And so I think that that is the thing that we can hang our hat on. This is not to put us at a disadvantage. This conversation, this education that we've received about the trust and otherwise is really about to put us ahead. It's about putting us ahead and having us to think intellectually, even if we don't have it in a moment, right? To be able to do these things, we're actively now able to think about it. Like, this is something I can also aspire for. There were a number of things that came out, be that put $25 to the side for yourself, be that think about your beneficiaries,
Free
be that
consultation.
the free consultation. There were a number of things that came out of the trust conversation that's very trusting, no matter where you are or what you have.
That's right.
In this process. And for that, we can be thankful.
It may say on the money, in God we trust. But if you ain't got no money, you ain't got a reminder.
Put a little bit away every 2 weeks.
Establish some trust. Well, thank you, Liberty. A young man, you're always welcome to come back and talk about financial
Thank
planning
you for having
and
us.
establish the trust.
Thank
And
you.
everybody out there, man, have a great weekend before Christmas weekend. Go Tulane. Right,
Yes,
right?
that's absolutely.
Win.
Yes.
Shout out again to Carr and St. Augustine. And for those folk who out there who the holidays are tough because of the loss of loved ones, celebrate the joy of their memory, right?
Yes. Which, by the way, this is the first time, some of you may not know, but my dad passed. And this is the first time I've been back on WBOK
Since
that he has not been able to tune in.
Well,
So,
well,
yes,
well,
my heart goes out to other families
Professor,
as well.
Professor Doc, know that we love you. You're one of the leading social scientists and fighters for justice in this community. And we look forward to you coming and lending your time again and co-hosting with us. Will Sutton, I know you're on break. We appreciate you, but we definitely welcome you back. And we want to thank our intern fill-in, Jasmine, right?
Yes.
Jasmine, thank you so
Did a
much, baby. You are
Extra
wonderful.
class of 2019.
Everybody have a great
Yes.
weekend. WBOK 12:30 a.m. What New Orleans is talking about. all day long.